Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. We will continue our review of Tensura Light Novel Volume 11. In the last episode, we discussed how Granbell launched an attack on the Holy Empire Ruberious, and this chaotic battle was divided into multiple small battlegrounds. Specifically, Hinata, Rimuru, Granbell, and Leon were at the entrance of the Grand Cathedral. Cheyenne, Ranga, Razzle, and the children were at the concert inside the cathedral. Luminous, Maria and the moderate Harlequin Alliance were at the secret chamber. Diablo, Guy, and Rain were at the battlefield far from the Grand Cathedral. And lastly, Yuki, who secretly stole the sleeping girl from the holy coffin, were hiding somewhere. In this episode, we will continue to delve into the progress on these battlefields. Let's get started. First, let's look at the entrance of the Grand Cathedral. Standing at the cathedral's main door was Demon Lord Leon, who had summoned Miss Shizuozawa to this world. As a childhood friend of Chloe, he had been using summoning magic to search for the missing Chloe. He hurriedly arrived here due to information, presumably about Chloe, provided by the moderate Harlequin Alliance. However, upon his arrival, he found himself amidst chaos, with skirmishes everywhere, making it hard to differentiate friend from foe. Luminous, the master of this place, was nowhere to be found, clearly indicating a trap. As Leon pondered his next move, an unfamiliar figure, Granbell, approached him and introduced himself. Granbell revealed that while this was their first meeting, he had been the one summoning children under 10 years old from other worlds as per Leon's request. Granbell smugly asked Leon if he was satisfied with the spirits made from these summoners, just like Shizuozawa. Hearing this shocking revelation, Rimuru, who was observing the scene, felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Rage began to simmer within him. Although the Lord of Wisdom had warned Rimuru that Granbell was trying to instigate a conflict between him and Leon. However, children summoned to this alternate world were forced to leave their families and friends. Their lifespans had significantly shortened due to the massive amount of magicule within them, and they were often abandoned by their summoners, like Miss Shizu and the children. These facts made Leon's actions unforgivable. Remembering his promise to Shizu to punch Leon and discern Leon's true intentions, Rimuru could no longer contain himself. It was evident that Granbell had extensively researched Rimuru. Ignoring the silent Rimuru, he continued to provoke, sharing how many innocent children were sacrificed in their numerous failed attempts to help Leon find the person he was searching for. Unable to hold back, Rimuru demanded to know if these accusations were true. Leon didn't deny them, merely nodding in acknowledgement, asserting there were reasons for his actions. However, Rimuru wasn't in the mood to hear them out. Fueled by anger and his personal promise to Shizu, he lunged at Leon, throwing a punch. Strangely, Leon didn't move or defend himself, even stopping his subordinates from intervening, and took the punch directly. Wiping the blood from his lips, Leon gazed at Rimuru. Rimuru paused momentarily, realizing from this encounter that Demon Lord Leon Cromwell might not inherently be evil. However, whether to forgive him or not would require a better understanding of the situation. After a brief reflection, wanting to understand Granbell's true intentions, Rimuru drew his sword towards Leon, indicating that even though he had fulfilled Shizu's last wish, his anger remained. From now on, they would engage in a slow and deliberate discussion. On the surface, Rimuru's statement implied readiness to oppose Leon. However, in reality, Rimuru feigned combat to discern the current chaotic situation. A twitch between Leon's brows indicated his grasp of Rimuru's intention. After all, Leon himself was confounded by the present circumstances. Who was the enemy? Who were the allies? Where was Chloe? These answers would only become clear after careful observation of the battlefield. Thus, with the clashing of swords between Leon and Rimuru, a renewed tumult ensued. On another front, deep within the innermost chamber, Luminous was engaged in intense combat with Granbell's wife, Maria. Despite the evident leaps in Maria's strength, hinting at her being an imposter, Luminous genuinely felt a motherly aura emanating from her. Maria and Granbell shared a deep bond, with the saintly Maria supporting the hero Granbell. In turn, Granbell stood by Maria, sharing the burden she carried. Their deep mutual love was enviable to many. It seemed likely that Granbell, yearning to revive his beloved, resorted to some forbidden magic. However, the action of reviving a being without consciousness was worth pondering. Such was Luminous' thoughts, and she hesitated in her attack against Maria, whose strength was significantly inferior. Granbell must have been aware of this, raising questions about his motives. Suddenly, a surge of unease overcame Luminous when she magically sensed the disappearance of the sacred holy coffin stored deep within the sanctuary. This coffin, entrusted by a dear friend, could unleash catastrophic forces if mishandled, thus its sealing. Luminous had never disclosed its full details. It was a secret within secrets. Granbell's actions had struck a nerve in Luminous. In her fury, she unleashed a punch through Maria's chest, fully releasing her pent-up magical energy. This violent outpour of power created a deadly zone around Luminous. Swiftly, after commanding her subordinates to capture all intruders, Luminous flew toward the Grand Cathedral with Maria's lifeless body, soon confronting Granbell. In stark contrast to the enraged Luminous, Granbell remained composed. While fending off Hinata's full-blown attack, he praised Luminous, implying that his handcrafted familiar, Maria, was nothing more than a minor hindrance to her. Witnessing this, Leon and Ruberious ceased their act and intently watched the unfolding events. Responding to Luminous' question regarding the reason behind using forbidden magic to resurrect Maria, Granbell stated that it was necessary, all for the present moment. Then, to Luminous' astonishment, Granbell removed his left glove, revealing a radiant emblem. As it shone, so did Maria's corpse, which astonishingly transformed into light and flowed into Granbell's emblem. Granbell's magicule levels surged immensely, and his aged appearance was replaced with a youthful one, courtesy of the kiss of love skill that Luminous had once bestowed upon him. Granbell asserted that he couldn't die before determining the outcome of the battle with Luminous. With a sharp gaze, Granbell confronted Luminous, who was fueled by anger, readying to strike. Hinata seized the moment, launching her most potent attack. But Granbell effortlessly parried, counterattacking with a breathtaking, chantless melt slash. Hinata narrowly dodged. Granbell mentioned that if Hinata awakened as a hero, she could prove useful. However, as per the Tensura universe's lore, a hero's egg can't be hatched by someone harboring darkness. Granbell speculated that Hinata must have slain a close relative. Indeed, in her past life, Hinata had killed her father and was ridden with guilt for ruining her mother's life. Unless Hinata reconciled with her past and dispelled her inner darkness, she couldn't hatch her hero's egg. Back to the unfolding events, after Granbell pinpointed Hinata's deep-seated trauma, Hinata charged forth in a surge of emotion. When they clashed, Granbell stood as immovable as a mountain, while Hinata was sent flying like a child, landing on the ground and coughing up blood. As Granbell prepared another attack, all eyes were on Hinata. However, at that moment, Ruberious sensed something amiss. Before he could finish, Ruberious bolted into action. Granbell's attack wasn't aimed at Hinata but at Chloe, who was observing from a distance. As the near light-speed melt slash headed toward Chloe, Ruberious tried to use Beelzebub to devour the space in front of her, but he was a fraction too late. Hinata, without hesitation, shielded Chloe, taking the brunt of Granbell's attack. Diablo's subordinate, Venom, followed Hinata, who bought a bit more time, allowing Ruberious to devour the space in front of Chloe. Ultimately, Venom was unharmed, and Chloe was saved. Luminous rushed to Hinata's side, attempting to heal her wounds with divine magic. Chloe and Ruberious followed suit. While Ruberious kept a wary eye on Granbell, he assessed Hinata's injuries and fell into a contemplative silence. Though Luminous' magic had healed the physical wounds, Hinata's spiritual body was deteriorating due to the particles. If this continued, even Hinata might face grave danger. Amidst this, Hinata weakly opened her eyes. Watching Luminous, Hinata coughed up fresh blood. But even in this state, Hinata tried desperately to stand, showing ironclad willpower. Seeing Chloe unharmed, Hinata extended her right hand toward Chloe. Despite the tremble in her hand, she flashed a faint smile. Clutched in her shaking hand was her weapon, Sword Moonlight. With great effort, Hinata entrusted Chloe with her prized sword and armor, Moonlight and Holy Mail, believing wholeheartedly that Chloe would surpass her. As Chloe cautiously touched Hinata, something unexpected happened. Hinata's body radiated light, which flowed into Chloe's hands. Suddenly, Chloe's figure vanished, her speed so swift it was as if she'd never been there. Leon rushed forward, confronting Rimuru. However, Rimuru was just as perplexed, and even the Lord of Wisdom couldn't grasp the current situation. Luminous, on the other hand, seemed unfazed. Trying to revive Hinata repeatedly using the resurrection of the dead spell, Luminous found Hinata's soul was no longer present. In this tense scene, only one person, Granbell, laughed joyfully, expressing how smoothly his plans were unfolding. This audacity infuriated Luminous, her fair face turning crimson with rage for witnessing the loss of Hinata, whom she deeply cherished. Shifting our attention to Cheyenne, after a fierce battle with Razzle, both she and Ranga were badly wounded. But even so, Cheyenne remained composed, facing Razzle as if nothing had happened. Ranga, unlike Cheyenne, who lacked the ultra-speed regeneration skill, was struggling to stand, his severe injuries yet to heal. Stepping forward as if to shield Ranga, Cheyenne brandished her odachi at Razzle. Her graceful posture belied the disadvantage she was at. In truth, despite unleashing her unique skill, Master Chef, attacking the same spot repeatedly, it only tickled Razzle. The disparity in their strength was stark. Razzle admired Cheyenne's resilience, but he was convinced that she had reached her limits. In an instant, his demonic aura swelled, and he sent a barrage of punches with power many times stronger than before. Responding, Cheyenne's demonic energy surged, and she slashed with all her might, only to be repelled again. Yet, in this dire situation, a smile crept onto Cheyenne's face. Always striving to reach the top and achieve her utmost potential to serve Rimuru-sama was Cheyenne's ambition. She remembered her past shallow self, believing power symbolized justice and the weak should be exploited. As an ogre, she was an apex being in the Jura forest. Even after being tempered by Hakuru's training, she remained indifferent to Rimuru's rule of respecting other races. Her first death, and the dread of fading without significance, made her realize her flawed thinking. After Rimuru revived her, her sense of security, akin to being protected by her parents, filled her heart. With this epiphany, she began to change, understanding not all humans were wicked. Every person's worth was determined by how they lived, regardless of strength or weakness. She learned that a person's worth wasn't decided by others but by themselves. She stopped envying and started focusing on herself, realizing the importance of surpassing her limits. This change in mindset facilitated Cheyenne's growth. And then, a miracle occurred. Cheyenne's intrinsic skill, Ogre Berserker, evolved into the unique skill, Divine Berserker. Cheyenne didn't hesitate for long. She immediately employed her newly acquired unique skill, Divine Berserker. Her body, already strained from excessive use of Ogre Berserker, cried out in pain once more. However, relying on her ultra-speed regeneration, Cheyenne forcefully suppressed it. Unlike Ogre Berserker, Divine Berserker greatly enhanced her strength, stamina, and spirit without sacrificing her sanity. Yet, this came at the cost of a significant magicule expenditure. Given Cheyenne's current condition, a single blow would be her absolute limit. Cheyenne signaled Ranga, raised her odachi, and combined her attack with Ranga's all-out death storm. Their combined move, Chaotic Fate, defied all odds. To Razzle's astonishment, a scratch appeared on his left arm. Though minor, it was enough for Cheyenne. Using optimal action and certain outcome, she overrode the rules, leveraging her unique skill, Master Chef. Cheyenne's sword shattered as purple lightning struck, but Razzle fell, his left arm severed. The devastating lightning burned Razzle's vital organs, ending the battle. Sensing his impending death, Razzle's last sight was of Luminous and Granbell's duel. Resigned and frustrated, he hoped to meet Granbell in their promised place. As the light in his eyes dimmed, Cheyenne and Ranga emerged victorious. At that very moment, on the other side of the battlefield, Rimuru somberly gazed at the lifeless body of Hinata before him. An inexplicable wave of sorrow washed over him. According to the report from the Lord of Wisdom, Hinata's soul had vanished. No method could retrieve the lost information particles. This meant that Hinata's death was different from Cheyenne's earlier demise. There was no hope of resurrection. As Luminous roared in rage, Rimuru snapped out of his daze, pondering a solution. However, the ever-changing battlefield left no room for contemplation. Just a heartbeat later, an explosion rocked the Grand Cathedral once more. Rimuru swiftly positioned himself between the explosion and the children, shielding them from the aftermath. Upon investigating the source of the explosion, an unparalleled monstrous aura was felt emanating from the outskirts of the Grand Cathedral. A weighty pressure, like the sky plummeting, sent chills down Rimuru's spine. It was an aura of profound malevolence, reminiscent of the spiritual body that had once merged with Chloe.
It's a physical entity, detecting an anomalous existence. Its upper limit is on par with Veldora.
As the dust settled, a breathtakingly beautiful young girl stood with her eyes closed. Her long black and silver hair danced in the wind, radiating a silver glow. Her stunning, bare form was reminiscent of a newborn. Rimuru was momentarily mesmerized, but now was not the time for distractions. Luminous angrily accused the commander of the Free Guild, Yuki, who stole the coffin and broke the seal of holy magic, awakening the will of destruction. According to Luminous, the beautiful girl was named Chronoa. While she bore the title of a hero, she wasn't truly one. She now stood as an embodiment of evil. Granbell laughed heartily, mockingly thanking Yuki. To this point, Granbell's plans had unfolded seamlessly. Even he couldn't break the seal on Luminous' holy magic, but Yuki had met his expectations and successfully shattered it. Granbell revealed his master plan, claiming everyone would perish at the hands of this unbeatable hero. Feeling deceived, Yuki grumbled in annoyance. The atmosphere on the battlefield grew tense. Soon, the black-haired girl opened her eyes. The single bracelet she wore began to shimmer. As dark particles enveloped Chronoa, she effortlessly brandished a weapon of legendary caliber. Her battle intent surged forth, signaling the commencement of an epic brawl. Rimuru carefully surveyed the field. Diablo, who had just returned, was protecting the children. Luminous was fiercely battling Granbell. Yuki and his team were preparing to flee, while Leon had been muttering incomprehensible remarks about Chloe, proving unreliable as an ally. Facing this seemingly young girl with a legendary weapon was daunting. Both intuition and theory suggested defense was futile. Even the Lord of Wisdom believed victory would be elusive, even at full strength. Trusting his instincts, Rimuru deployed an absolute guard and evaded just as a streak of dark light raced past, obliterating everything in its path. This was a crisis of despair, where even evasion seemed to hinge on luck. However, Chronoa didn't solely target Rimuru. Yuki, the very person who unsealed her, was also attacked and narrowly dodged her strike. In this critical moment, the Lord of Wisdom proposed the activation of the ultimate skill, the Storm Dragon summoned from the Lord of Storm. As the name suggests, it would summon Veldora. Rimuru had intended to keep this skill secret, but with the looming threat of more casualties like Hinata, he decided to heed the advice. Using the Soul Corridor, he called upon Veldora, requesting his power. The capricious Storm Dragon, elated at the opportunity to shine, promptly responded. A magical storm swept through the Grand Cathedral as Veldora made his grand entrance, confronting Chronoa. Veldora expressed his surprise, recognizing the girl as the hero who had once sealed him away. Although she had worn a mask back then, the shape of her lips was unmistakably familiar. Indeed, she was beautiful. Veldora's approach seemed haphazard as always, and Yuki and his crew seized this opportunity to escape. Rimuru, feeling a bit speechless, relied on Veldora to buy time while contemplating a new strategy. However, in a twist, Luminous sent a thought communication message. She revealed that Chronoa was another persona of Chloe and hinted that within Chronoa might lie the dormant soul of Hinata. She pleaded with Rimuru not to kill Chronoa. This revelation completely disrupted Rimuru's train of thought. Chloe, Chronoa, Hinata, what connection did these three share? Why did Hinata and Chloe vanish the moment Chronoa awakened? The answers to these mysteries perhaps trace back to when Rimuru first arrived in this world. Alright, that's all for this video. In the next episode, we will reach the climax of this volume. How will Chloe, through over 2 millennia of time loops, save Rimuru? She's tried again and again, facing the vast expanse of time, hoping for a different outcome. Multiple timelines will unfold. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and follow. Your support is the driving force behind my continued efforts. See you in the next episode.